Hey y'all, so today I want to talk about the 5 reasons Black autistic women are more likely to experience autistic burnout in the workplace. And welcome to my channel. This is a place for people like me who are neurodivergent, late identified neurodivergent, who are chronically ill, and who are Black and identify as women, non binary folks, and femmes. And this is a place for us to look to escape from the cycles of burnout and soul crushing survival mode that we exist in, so that we can create a life that works for our bodies and our brains, one that meets us at the intersection of our neurodivergence, our disabilities, and our Blackness. So, welcome. And if any of that is something that you have been searching for, go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can be notified of future videos that I post. So, let's get into it. Let's talk about this. Autistic burnout is a reality for all autistic people, but I think that Black women experience burnout in a different way. I think it hits different for us, and I want to get into why I think that is. So, I was recently watching a video called Autism and Finding the Perfect Job on the channel Auticate with Chris and Debby. And it made me think, even if Black women find the perfect job as autistic folks, we still are likely to experience really debilitating autistic burnout and may not even be able to keep that job. And here are the reasons why I think that is. Number 1, being experts on racism, ableism, and sexism in our workplace is the special interest we did not ask for. If there's anyone who is thinking about justice and injustice, not only for ourselves, but people in proximity to us, it is Black folks. It's in our DNA, it's how we think about the world, and that is something that can be a lot to hold when you are also autistic, because autistic folks often also have a really huge sense of justice. And so to carry that sense of justice as a Black woman and as an autistic person, if it can be a heavy burden to carry sometimes. And not only that, as autistic folks, we're going to be noticing patterns in our workplace. Oftentimes, we are going to be seeing that, okay, I'm noticing that there's some colorism happening, and you have to have a certain complexion to be hired or to be promoted. And that can be a lot to see, a lot to notice. We may be the ones who are hyper focusing on the fact that pretty much every entry-level job in our firm is occupied by Black people and people of color. And then we're going to try to figure out how to fix that, because that's how our neurodivergent brains work. So we are seeing those things in our workplace on levels and in ways that others probably aren't. And it is a shortcut to burnout. Number 2, we are wearing masks on masks on masks. We mask every part of our identity, at least I feel like I do. I am masking as a Black person, as a Black woman. I'm masking as a neurodivergent person. I'm masking as a queer person. I'm masking as a non-binary person who also identifies as a Black woman. We can talk about that some other time. And those things that's a lot of masks. After a while, I can't even keep track. What's going on with me? Who am I today? And it gets to a point where I don't even know really who I am underneath all that stuff. And when I think about it, and when you think about it, that person that you are when you're alone and no one is watching is the person that you are oftentimes. And when you compare that to the person you have to be in the workplace, it is a wide gap. It is a lot to process. So it's hard to wear the mask, and it's hard when the mask falls. Number 3, as Black autistic women, we are more likely to feel the need to hold in our meltdowns. I'm of the belief that meltdowns are a natural experience for autistic and neurodivergent people. And it can feel like we are holding those things in, especially at the workplace. It's not usually a safe place to have a meltdown. That's, the case for often anybody. I think what's unique about Black folks is that we don't have other spaces outside of the work environment to have meltdowns. We may not even be able to feel like we can do that in our own home. What if a neighbor hears us? What if someone calls the cops on us? What if all these things happen? And so we find ourselves holding all of that stuff in, and that is so exhausting, and that feels like it is so hard to bear. And a lot of times the source of the meltdown is actually what happened at work, and we don't have a way to deal with it when we get home. And when those things are happening, it is so hard, because I think that meltdowns are like sneezes or coughs. Like, imagine trying to or needing to sneeze or cough and not being able to. I think that's what it feels like when you can't have a meltdown, and that's not okay. We need to be able to let those things out in ways that are safe and that work for us. Number 4, there are overlaps between PTSD, autism, and Blackness. Now, we know that autistic people are more likely to experience PTSD. The way our nervous systems are set up, we experience life in such a different way, and a lot of times those things live in our body in such a way that we develop PTSD. Those things are very common, and I am not able to explain those things like a therapist would, but I know them from a lived experience. And when those things are happening, my nervous system I experience it as being very much on edge. And so even something simple, even if I'm having a great day, even if I have the perfect job, even if I'm in my own little space and I'm working remotely, if I get an email that surprises me, or a phone call or an assignment or anything like that, it just can set off my nervous system in a way that makes it really hard to exist. And when that's happening day after day after day, I start to feel like I can't function, and burnout starts to set in. Number 5, leaving your job feels impossible or inaccessible. I know there's a lot of conversation, and it's very valid among neurodivergent folks, that we are able to be our best selves when we can be our own boss. But I would say for people who are Black and autistic, and women, femmes, or non-binary folks, we may be having a different experience, or it may be hard to see those things as possibilities for us. And one of the first things we're going to be running into is that we may be underemployed. We may be in a position that actually is below our qualifications. And that can really, at least for me, it hits at my confidence. It makes me feel like, if I can't even do this little job, how am I going to be able to do something like be my own boss? It feels really, really impossible. And the experience of being underemployed is something that happens, again, across identities for autistic folks. I think those things carry a different meaning when you are Black. I know for me, when I've been in those roles, it feels like it's connected to my identity as a Black person as well as my autism. And it can really eat away at how I see myself. Also, being my own boss means that I have no backup. It means that there is no other financial fallback, at least for a lot of Black people and a lot of women who are in this position. And a lot of times, Black women, we are the ones who are holding up our families. We're the ones who are sending money away to loved ones and relatives and friends, and the ones that people call on in emergencies and all sorts of stuff. And we don't have, the person who's giving us an inheritance so that we have something to fall back on, or a rich relative we can call, or a house that's been passed down to us so that if we can't pay rent, we can just move in there, or we can sell the place. Those things a lot of times are not available to us. And so it feels very risky to leave a job. And so we end up just grinding it out and staying there, and staying sometimes much longer than our capacity would allow. And those things often lead us to burnout. So those are the 5 ways that I see autistic burnout hitting different for Black women who are autistic. And I would love to hear your thoughts. What are other ways that you have experienced burnout differently in the workplace as a Black neurodivergent woman, femme, or non-binary person? Leave a comment below and let me know what your thoughts are. So when you add all this together, it's like, what do we do? How do I tackle this? It feels like a really, really big problem without a solution. I think for some people, quitting is what happens. For a lot of people. And I think for people, many people, that is the right answer. It's just to quit. And then the question is, what happens after that? And then there's other folks who might stay in it and just keep grinding it out. And what I want to share is that there are a whole range of other possibilities that can happen between quitting in a way that is disruptive and difficult for your life and just continuing to grind it out, that might be supportive to you and be able to help you break the cycle of being an autistic burnout as a Black woman, femme, or non-binary person. It is super, super hard to know what it is you want when you're burned out. I think that the most important thing to do is just to stop the burnout. And what I want to encourage you with is that we don't have to solve the entire problem all in one fell swoop. We can take it a step at a time, one tiny, even tiny, manageable step at a time that's within your comfort limits. And so I'm going to be posting more videos on strategies that you can use to be able to get through burnout, but not just get through it, also be able to break out of the cycle and take care of yourself, whether that's through taking some time off, but in a very strategic way that's not just a vacation, some really specific things that you can do during that time to really serve yourself. And that could also look like asking for accommodations, but there's strategies to do that so that it can be something that really serves you and doesn't pull you down. And there could be ways that you could use existing resources to take an extended or short-term leave so that you can actually get some breathing room to figure out what it is you want to do. So if any of those things are interesting to you, I encourage you to like this video and subscribe, and to check out my future videos to see how you can break out of this cycle.